have this weekend's Bell of the Ball at BYB 31 Stockyard Brawl. Going down at the Stockyards Event Center, we have Mark the Shark Irwin. Mark, thank you very much for joining us here today.
Thank you for having my friend. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. First and foremost, Mark, where can people follow you?
So you can find me on social media at Mark_the_Shark_Irwin. Mark the Shark Irwin, just like it sounds. That's on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and whatever social media.
Now, in terms of event information, where can people watch the fights? Are tickets still available? What's the whole situation?
Yeah, so there are tickets available, but you do want to get them because it is going to sell out. You can buy the tickets on bybextreme.com, and you can watch the fight on the Sling TV app, the Fuse TV app, the BN Sports app, or go to the website bybextreme.com, and there will be links to watch as well.
Perfect. Now, you are a very decorated bare knuckle boxer. You have a knockout of the year award. You have a fight of the year award. You are looking to reclaim your lightweight title. Talk to us a little bit about the matchup and, how is it going to feel to reclaim that throne?
Yeah, it's one of the biggest fights to be made in bare knuckle boxing. It was the 2023 Fight of the Year award winner for BYB Extreme, also for the Hall of Fame as well. So it's going to be a huge fight and a big rematch. I'm really excited to get in there and get an opportunity to win my title back. Me and my team and a lot of other people feel like I did enough to get the decision in a close fight, but sometimes that's the way it goes. Sometimes you get the breaks and sometimes you don't. So, he won a close decision. Congrats to him. But we learned a lot in the first fight, and we're going to take the knowledge acquired and apply it in the rematch. And with a couple small adjustments, I think we'll finish the fight and get the belt back and new.
I really like that approach. Very calm, cool, collected. Now, Mark, what is your experience with BYB been?
Honestly, I couldn't say enough good things about BYB Extreme. I've had the opportunity to fight for both of the biggest bare knuckle promotions in the world. I made my debut with BKFC, and that was an incredible experience. But ultimately, I got a better deal with BYB Extreme, and they have been very supportive of me in my career. They're really given me a push from the promotion, and I appreciate all the love that they've given me, and it's been a pleasure. It's a real tight knit organization. It's got a real family vibe to it. So I'm very proud to have been their first lightweight champion and to be one of the faces of the promotion and have another opportunity here to headline once again.
Awesome.
Now, it's a little bit of a different layout than most are traditional fight fans are used to seeing with the Trigon. Now, how
Correct.
does that change up preparation or training? I mean, there's not a lot of gyms that you can go to, even if you're out and about training on the road. You may have one in your home native gym or build one at home, but if you travel or anything, I'm sure it's probably hard to find anywhere that has a Trigon to replicate that exact look.
Well, it's a lot easier than you think, actually. The Trigon is the world's smallest fighting surface. It is 21 feet by 21 feet by 21 feet. So it is a triangular shaped ring, which means that the corners are also a lot more narrow than your average boxing ring. Instead of being 90-degree corners, you have 60-degree corners. So it's harder to get in and out of those corners if you get stuck there. But essentially, it's a boxing ring cut in half. If you were to just take a piece of string and run it down the middle of a boxing ring from one post to the next, you now have a triangular boxing ring. So it's very easy to simulate the dimensions and the feel of the Trigon as far as training in a boxing gym is concerned. And certainly, you do want to take that into consideration as far as tactics and techniques are concerned, right? Even just transitioning from being a professional boxer, boxing in a square ring, to fighting in BKFC, which has the circular ring. One thing that's interesting about that as well is, ropes wouldn't stand up if they were to use ropes in a circle because how would that make sense? So it's actually steel pipes that are just padded uh,
Really?
Yeah, so you'll
Oh,
get hurt
okay.
real bad if you run into those ropes
Yeah.
or any of the turnpikes or the turnbuckles in a BKFC ring because it's just steel piping.
Learn something new every day. I had no idea.
Yeah, I've actually seen guys
Okay.
weaponize it where they'll take
That's
it and
yeah.
ram guys into it or use it to, like, hold on to it and smash guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what a lot of people who aren't like us, like diehard martial arts, just different types of martial arts fans, is the environment in which you fight, it makes a huge
for sure, a
difference.
mat,
Like
a
you said,
cage, a ring.
tactics.
Yeah, even
Mhm.
the shape of it. So a boxing ring is different than the circle, right? You gotta be careful not to get run into the walls of that BKFC ring, but if you have good footwork and lateral movement, you can just spin in that thing all
Mhm.
day. Like, it's hard to trap somebody against those ropes because of the fact that you can just keep moving laterally. Whereas in the Trigon, there's so little space, it's tough. You can't really move laterally a lot. It really forces the action.
Mhm.
So it changes your tactics.
Yeah.
Certainly. Now, there are more and more commissions that are approving the bare knuckle rule sets out there. Colorado's set to be one of them on the local level promotion side of things in November. Where do you see this taking the growth of the sport as a whole in the next 5 years?
Yeah, it's been crazy to watch. I saw bare knuckle for the first time on YouTube back in 2020, and I remember watching a couple fights and thinking to myself, I could beat a lot of those guys, right? And then just by chance, the next day I saw that BKFC was having open tryouts in Tampa, Florida.
Yeah.
And so I bought a plane ticket and I flew out and I tried out and I ended up getting signed. And that was in January of 2021. Right. So I've
Okay.
been following the bare knuckle circuit, going to fights, sitting ringside at events, coaching and cornering guys, fighting, all over the US, some from 2021 until now. And so to watch the growth of the sport in even such a small span of time, it's been real crazy. We were at Knuckle Mania earlier in the year in Los Angeles. That was a tremendous event. BYB is putting on huge events all over the country. We're gonna have another sold out show. Like I said, I'm really excited to be headlining for the second time for the promotion. But it's been cool to watch the growth of the sport, and I think it's only a matter of time before it's legal in all 50 states, and you start seeing it, everywhere globally as well.
And I saw that you said that you saw bare knuckle boxing on YouTube in 2020. A very interesting year, what might I add? Um
For sure.
so is what was your mindset when you were watching that? I know you said you were like, "Oh, I think I can beat these guys." But as compared to traditional boxing or any other martial arts, why bare knuckle boxing? What is it for you personally?
Yeah. So I just saw looking at it my skill set, right away as a fighter, you can watch somebody and you know whether or not you can beat that guy or
Mhm.
whether it's going to be competitive, right? And watching these guys, I knew that my skill set was going to match up real well as a former, amateur boxing champion and as an undefeated professional. I knew that I could go in there and fight at a high level.
Yeah.
And then two, you know, I have a boxing background, but I am fortunate to know and train with a lot of high level mixed martial artists, like my head coach and dear friend Ian, Uncle Creepy McCall, the former MMA world champion. Uh, there's a lot of great talent in Orange County, and so I've had the opportunity to train a lot of martial arts, jujitsu, wrestling, Muay Thai, and I knew that watching bare knuckle, I would be able to come up with a skill set that would translate very well to that sport, if only I had the opportunity. And when I saw that they were having open tryouts the next day, I read it like it was a sign from the universe, and I bought the plane ticket. I flew out. I got signed. They only signed 5 out of the 50 people that went, and, it was at that moment I asked my friend Ian if he would help coach and corner me and guide my career, and, we saw it very much as having a lot of parallels to his career when he was fighting in MMA, and it was still illegal in a lot of states, including California at the time. Right, and, to have an opportunity to be one of the OGs of a growing martial art and sport, and just so to see it at the forefront of combat sports now and to be, big global promotions, it's really exciting.
That is, awesome to hear that story live in person. I did not know that, and that's just kinda, I don't know, kinda cool to hear when, preparation and opportunity collide right there.
For
That's what
sure.
people call luck.
Luck. Yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
Absolutely.
I love that quote.
Now, Mark, given that this is a rematch, you kind of hit on this a little bit earlier that you used intel that you gathered from that first fight within your preparation for this rematch to try to get that belt back. Styles make fights. Stylistically, what is it that the people can expect from you, and how does the action play out inside of the Trigon?
Well, if you've seen the first fight, it was one of the most violent, action-packed fights you could ever hope to watch in any combat sport. Boxing, MMA, bare knuckle, Muay Thai. Uh, Styles make fights like you said. Tanori is a young, strong, explosive kid. I myself have always embodied an action explosive style myself. Like you said, I had the knockout of the year in 2022. Uh, I've had big knockouts at the amateur and professional level. So you have two exciting, explosive fighters that are going to go head to head and meet in the middle and let it all hang out. And I'm confident that I have the skills and the attributes necessary to get the job done and get my hand raised and win my belt back once again and new.
That I have that I find pretty interesting because of, I'm not saying that, in MMA, you still can damage your hands, but not nearly as much as bare knuckle boxing. What measures in training do you do to strengthen? And also, I want to know personally to strengthen my hands. What do you do to? What are some measures that you take in training to strengthen your hands?
That's a great question. I used to do a bit of knuckle conditioning over the years and through experience. I actually believe that's not necessarily good for your hands. One thing that I work on a lot in training with my strength and conditioning coach, Corey Beasley, who's one of the best in the world. So shout out to Corey Beasley. We work on really strengthening my hands and my grip to put more muscle into my hands and my forearms because muscle is like armor for the body. And so having stronger muscles will help create stronger bones and tendons and ligaments that will better absorb that contact. And fortunately, I've never broken my hand throughout my career, amateur, professional, or bare knuckle.
That's sick.
I have had, obviously your hands get extremely sore.
Yeah.
I've had really bad hand injuries as far as like swelling post fight. Usually takes at least 30 to 60 days for your hands to start to feel better after a fight. But yeah, that's one of the risks you run. People don't realize that gloves actually weren't invented to protect your face. And although they do, gloves were invented to protect your hands, which are your main weapon. Because if you think, back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, medical advances were not what they were today. So if you're a professional prize fighter and you break your hand, you're screwed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Your career is effectively over, or you're going to be seriously damaged and compromised moving forward because it's just not going to heal properly. So they decided to start wearing gloves, and that changed the sport forever and the course of combat sports history.
That is an interesting fun fact that people don't really know about.
Certainly. Now, from a tactics and a fighting tools perspective, Mark, how is training for a bare knuckle boxing fight different than a traditional boxing fight? We talked a little bit about this on the program a few weeks ago when Mike Perry fought Jake Paul, about how the difference in styles of Jake being able to throw those big overhands, which you're not really used to seeing as much on the bare knuckle side, just based on the risk or maybe at the volume that Jake spams him, I guess you should say, because of the risk of potentially breaking the hands, hitting the top of the head, so on and so forth. Just what is the difference in terms of preparation there?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely taking the gloves off changes the entire dynamic of the fight, right? Your tactics and strategies are going to be a lot different because your hands aren't protected. And you're a lot more vulnerable to shots as well. So it does completely change the game, and it is important to make sure that your training is reflective of that different rule set. One of the big changes that I made when I transitioned from being a professional boxer to a professional bare knuckle fighter was that I almost completely stopped training with professional boxers and I started training almost exclusively with mixed martial artists and or other bare knuckle fighters because for one the rule set permits a lot more of the tactics that are used within mixed martial arts and boxers are not keen on those tactics being practiced on them in the gym as far as holding and hitting and clinching and fighting in that clinch and things like that. So I linked up with some high level MMA fighters, like I alluded to earlier. My coach, Ian McCall. I do a lot of training with Cub Swanson and his fighters that he manages out in Orange County, California, the Bloodlines team. Shout out to them. They've been a huge asset to me in every one of my training camps as far as sparring and training partners. Cheeto Vera, Jason Perillo, shout out to them. They've been a lot of help as well. And yeah, so working with those high level MMA guys and incorporating the tactics that are useful and discarding, that which is not in order to create a system that is highly effective in this new and evolving sport.
Awesome.
These California guys are cool.
Yeah,
These California guys are cool,
I'm
man.
really blessed. I live right in the heart of, the mecca of combat sports being from Huntington Beach, California. It's got a lot of the best gyms, coaches, and fighters worldwide. And I've been blessed to get in the rooms with those people and get to train with them. And not only are they great fighters and skilled, pugilists and combative athletes, but yeah, a lot of cool dudes, I think a lot of people would be surprised to learn that a lot of the coolest, chillest people you could ever meet are fighters.
Yeah, that's something that I actually some of my friends were talking about the other day, how we just come across as mean individuals, but when you get us outside the gym, just hanging out one on one, like anyone who does any type of combat sports, you're a nice person. You have to be.
For sure. Well, if you only see someone on television when they're about to get in a cage fight or a professional boxing match or something, and they're
Yep.
hyped up on adrenaline and testosterone and screaming and about to commit the violent act, like, yeah, that's an intimidating way to perceive somebody. And especially if that's your first introduction to that person.
Mm-hmm.
But I always say, and just from my own anecdotal observations, I feel like more often than not, fighters really don't feel the need to have to prove anything to anybody because we do it on television. You can go YouTube my stuff if you want to
Yeah.
see what I've done. You know what I mean? There's plenty of all my fights are up there. And then not only that, I think that we have an opportunity to like blow off steam in the gym and like really
Exactly.
get
Yeah.
that out of your system. If you look at, we were designed by nature tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years ago to behave in a certain way. And in the last, couple thousand years, we've radically changed how we live and we've terraformed society with these artificial environments that we now live in, and we go to a job and like work behind a computer instead of hunting and foraging for food and fighting other tribes and doing all the physical work that your body is designed to do. I think a lot of people that live sedentary and average lifestyles, they don't have that outlet where they can blow that steam off, and so they're like pent up and frustrated. Whereas fighters, we're tired from training, bro. Like,
Exactly.
you know what I mean? I don't have to prove nothing to nobody, and
No.
I'm sleepy, bro. Like, I,
Yep.
I want to eat and take a nap. So, yeah, converse to what a lot of people might think stereotypically, fighters more often than not. And there's exceptions because there's
There's
people that
always
suck
gonna be,
everywhere,
yeah.
but more often than not, fighters are some of the coolest people you could ever meet. And so I'm blessed to get to hang out with so many cool high level ones and learn from them and be able to go out there and be a representative of them. I feel like I am a representative of all the guys that I came from. I was really blessed to always have high level coaches ever since the beginning. When I first started training boxing, albeit late in life in my early 20s, I started training at LA Boxing Aliso Viejo in Orange County, California. And Jesse Reed Sr., who's a Hall of Fame boxing coach, would come in there regularly every week with Malik King Scott, who was an undefeated heavyweight, and Reese Bennett, who was a super middleweight USA boxing national medalist. And they would make me spar Reese, and he would beat me up more often than not. But I got to learn from firsthand a Hall of Fame coach and high level fighters. And that experience was invaluable to me. And so I've always been very concerned with seeking out coaches that have high levels of knowledge and experience. And, so I am just a product of all those great coaches, whether it's, Jesse Reed Sr., shout out to him, or Ian McCall, my boxing coach, Bobby Chavez, who is trained by Coach Mack, who he himself trained 7 world champions. Shout out to Coach Mack. Like I said, Cub Swanson, Perillo, all these high level guys. I'm a product of all the knowledge and information I've learned from them and all the work I put in the training room with those guys.
Absolutely. And last couple from us before we get you out of here and on your way for a busy media week ahead of this title fight here that you guys can check out this weekend for BYB Stockyard Brawl. What is your favorite snack while cutting weight?
My favorite snack while cutting weight. So I'm very, very strict about my diet. That's if you know anything about cutting weight, that's the fight before the fight. And we
Well,
as
Josh
fighters,
is not, so help him.
What do you
No.
mean? What are we talking about? I've only missed weight once in my life. One time ever.
it's hard. We choose weight classes that are not anywhere close to anything that we'd really weigh in real life.
Yeah.
So making weight is hard. I'm very strict about my diet, my lifestyle when I'm in training camp, and I think that's one of the things that has allowed me to be very successful to this point. But my snack during training camp consists of fruit, whether it's like pineapple or some fruit medley as one snack, and then the other snack of the day is Greek yogurt with fruit. Uh, yeah. When
Solid
when I'm
choices.
not fighting, I definitely like to get fat and binge and eat a bunch of junk and drink whiskey for breakfast with donuts. But after we win the title,
Yes. That's gonna feel so much better when you have the title just laying on your shoulders there.
absolutely, I can tell you from experience that smoking cigarettes and drinking whiskey and eating donuts for breakfast for the world championship title is the greatest feeling on the.
Fair enough.
That is awesome to hear. Now, Mark, I have one question for you here. What kind of walkout music am I gonna hear from you this weekend?
So typically for my BYB fights, I've walked out to Billie Eilish with Justin Bieber. "Bad Guy" was my walkout song for my last couple of fights. I actually switched it up. We're gonna do something different. For this fight, I'm going to come out to "Follow God" by Kanye West.
Okay. You heard it here, people. We're gonna go some easy.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And one final question here. And this is something that we like to ask all the fighters that we bring on because it's something that means something different to every individual. Is there a song, maybe it's just a lyric of a song, a quote, a scene from a movie, a Bible verse, anything along those lines, maybe a work of art that is telling the tale of Mark the Shark Irwin for this camp?
Yeah. A song that reflects Mark the Shark, "Pursuit of Happiness" by Kid
Okay.
Cudi, or the cover by Lissy I love a lot too, but same song, "Pursuit of Happiness." Yeah,
Okay.
that I think embodies the journey that I'm on, and I love that song, and I wanted to walk out to that, but it's a little the original's a little too slow and somber.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
That's a good song though. That's a good song. The lyrics are heavy.
yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. And as we tie this thing up here, Mark, where can people follow you?
Yeah, so you can find me on social media, on Instagram and Facebook, Mark the Shark Irwin _ right? You could also watch all my fights on YouTube. Type in Mark the Shark or go to the BYB Extreme page. And like I said, you can find my fight on the BYB Extreme page this weekend or the Sling and Fuse TV apps. Tickets are still available, but it will sell out for the Stockyards Brawl at the Stockyards Event Center this Saturday. If you've never been to a bare knuckle fight live, let me tell you, as someone who has been to dozens, there is nothing like it. And I've been to every combat sport you could go to: boxing, MMA, Muay Thai, everything at the highest level to local production shows. And there is nothing like being at a bare knuckle fight live. The sound is
The sound alone
crazy.
is crazy.
The level of violence, it's next level. It's not for everybody. It's not for the faint of heart for sure. But if you want to see something wild and crazy, go see a bare knuckle fight live. It will blow your mind.
I agree. I agree. We went to the one bare knuckle event up in Broomfield a few years ago. I think it's
Yeah, about a year and a half
about a year
ago.
and a half ago, and that was the first time I've ever seen it live, and that was amazing. That was awesome.
Well, we'd love to have you guys if you want to come and check out the show.
I was on the fence because I had some other things, but after this interview, you sold me, dude.
Let's
I'm
go.
there. I'm there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, folks, make sure that you come check out that action for the Stockyards this weekend or watch that live stream and the pay-per-view. Pick that up. We will have Mark the Shark Irwin reclaiming that title in the main event. Stick around after the break. We're going to be talking a review of UFC 306 and closing out the hour by going 3 rounds. I'm Jordan Kurtz, sitting here alongside Mark the Shark Irwin and Josh the Big Yins Fremd. We'll be right back, folks.